Shields up, Iron Breakers. Work here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Josef Fares' outburst during the Game Awards. For those of you who do not know who Josef Fares is, he's the guy who said, "Fuck the Oscars" and flipped the camera.
Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you! I'll tell you!
So pretty much that should paint a pretty vivid picture of who he is. I know we've all seen the videos, we've all laughed about it. I've even posted my own reaction during my live stream of the Game Awards, and I thought it was pretty funny. But ultimately, I was also curious about why did he just go off on that? Was he just drunk? What was going on there? I've been curious about it, so I've been looking up a couple of stories about it, and yeah. There's actually quite a bit of meaning to what he intended to say, even though he didn't express himself all that well, but the message that he wanted to try and get across is actually pretty important, so I figured I'd make a video about it. So, I'm going to be quoting some Polygon articles here. Here's what they say. Asked why he repeatedly called out the Academy Awards, Fares, who directed multiple feature-length films before he started making games, characterized his "fuck the Oscars" tirade as another instance of failing to explain himself properly. He said his intent was to use the Oscars to illustrate what in his mind is the inferiority complex that the video game industry holds on to with respect to more established art forms such as films and television shows. And oh my god, this is completely true. There is an inferiority complex when it comes to video games, and it's fucking frustrating as hell. As a matter of fact, I've had to talk about it when it came to The Last of Us 2, as well as Detroit Become Human, because people don't take video games seriously enough. Continuing on, they say, "This is an example," said Fares. "It's not that I have anything against the Oscars, but there's a lot of talk about, like, you know, this is like the Oscars, like the Game Awards. We're trying to be like the Oscars." And I'm like, come on, man. I mean, it's time for people to understand that games are like serious art. That's right. And make no mistake, because I'm going to make sure that I make my personal point across when it comes to this. Make no mistake. If you cannot see that video games are a form of art, then you just don't know what art is. It's that simple. It is that simple. If you try to come at me and be like, "Oh no, paintings are art, and certain movies are art, and certain music is art. Video games are not art," you're wrong. You're just straight up wrong. There's no other way to explain it. If you cannot recognize that video games are art, nothing else is art. Music is not art. Films are not art. Paintings are not art. You don't even understand the concept of art if you do not acknowledge video games as an art form. I'm sorry, that's just legitimately where I stand at this point. Video games are an art form, and it's high time people started fucking accepting it. I'm just done trying to be reasonable about it. It's like, if you can't accept it, I will force it down your goddamn throats. Because people need to really start respecting this medium. Because it does not get enough respect. And it is frustrating, particularly for people who work on this medium. It is frustrating to constantly, you know, see people criticize stuff that they don't criticize any other form of medium. If there's domestic abuse in a movie, nobody talks about that because it's an art form. It's being used to express something. It's sending a message. Yet somehow video games are not entitled to send that same message. Explain that to me. I'd like that to be explained. Can anybody give me a good reason? No, you can't. Video games are art, and it's time people recognize that. Then they talk to Jeff Keighley about the whole thing, and he goes and he says, "As for comparisons to the Oscars, I know where Josef is coming from. Games are a huge force on the entertainment landscape, yet they don't get the respect they deserve. In many ways, we don't need to be the Oscars of gaming or to draw that comparison to the Oscars for validation or legitimacy. The Game Awards are distinct and successful on their own," and I completely agree with that. We don't need to have the Oscars of video games. The Game Awards are its own thing. And I know that a lot of people don't respect the Game Awards, and that's fine. It's up to each and every individual, whether you like it or you don't like it. Personally, I like it. I find it entertaining, even though I don't agree with all their choices of awards and nominees. I don't. It's just one of those things. I don't agree. But then again, I don't necessarily represent the mainstream consumer. I'm the kind of guy who thinks that Nier Automata deserved way more to be on that Game of the Year discussion than something like PUBG's Battlegrounds. And I understand it's going to be very different from person to person. Everybody's going to have their different opinions. To me, Nier Automata deserved to at least be in the discussion. I'm not saying it would win, but it should have at least be considered. because it is definitely one of the best games we've had this year. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here. I understand a lot of people don't like the Game Awards. As a matter of fact, I've had someone do a comment on one of my videos saying they hoped Jeff Keighley would lose all of his ad support on account of the Josef Fares rant. And I'm just like, why? Why? It's almost like saying, oh, I don't like a certain series on TV. I hope they go under. And fuck everybody else that actually enjoys that series. I mean, come on. Come on, let's be reasonable here. A lot of people enjoy the Video Game Awards. They're funny. They're entertaining. You know, sometimes some awkward things happen, some meme-worthy things like the Josef Fares situation. But again, the message that he was actually trying to get across was actually an important one. Unfortunately, he failed to really express himself properly, so we kind of fucked that up. But ultimately, if this is what he was trying to say, I respect that. I respect that a lot, because there is an inferiority complex in the gaming industry. And there really shouldn't be. People should just start assuming video games are an art form. Just assume it. If anybody, we need to treat the people that say otherwise like the outsiders. They're the outcasts. They're the ones who don't actually understand. They're the ones who don't get it. Because people need to understand, we're not talking about Pac-Man anymore. You know, even though Pac-Man is an artful game, if you really look at it, it's a freaking classic. But we're talking about a lot deeper games nowadays that really delve into narrative experiences and all these other different topics that people sometimes feel the need to go ahead and go against for some strange reason. And it's just annoying, is all. But in regards to the whole thing about Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards, I hope he gets to do the Game Awards for a long time to come. I hope the dude has got like old gray hair and a beard and just like still goes on to do more Game Awards, and I'll be there to watch them because I find it entertaining as hell. That's all I'm saying. And I know that some people still cling on to the idea back in the day when he was doing the whole Doritos thing and the Mountain Dew and all of that shit. And to be completely honest, you guys, like, you can call him a sellout all you want, but as someone who works in the gaming industry, all I can tell you is that there's a lot more money to be had in a lot of other industries. The gaming industry is a fickle mistress. If he's still doing it about games, he's, at least in my opinion, he's not in it for the money. I could be wrong. You can call me whatever you want. Here's what I can tell you. My personal paycheck for all the work that I do around video games fucking sucks. As a matter of fact, I don't make money, I lose money. I'm just keep hoping that things will someday improve, or maybe I will be able to get another job like the one I had during the broadband TV times. But that's the way things are for me personally. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching this video. I just wanted to, I guess I kind of went a little bit off topic there, but I just want to talk about the whole Josef Fares thing and how video games are most definitely an art form, and it's high time people recognize that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.